Hello everyone, All 22 and a few film review giving you guys the next episode of Draft Raps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit. We're going to be talking about paths for starting for all these players, as well as immediate roles if I kind of see that for the player. So if you want to learn more about the Commanders class that we're going to be talking about today, or you want to learn more about any of the other 31 classes in the NFL, make sure you dive through the channel, subscribe, stick around so you don't miss your favorite team or any of the teams you're interested in as we round out this 25 drafting season. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the Commanders today, my 6th overall class, a very, very good class to me. Only had 5 picks, but I feel like they really did the most with these 5 picks, getting guys that are going to come in and immediately start and getting guys late that are going to immediately find roles on this team. I think they just did a very, very solid job top to bottom trying to fill out this roster. Going to be an A- for me, a 3.3125 numerical grade. That numerical grade coming from an equation that I made for you guys, so you guys can have a more concrete feel about how I feel about all of these classes, stack some of the same letter grades or see how far away some of the different letter grades are. Just a little extra fun thing we could come back to, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, see what I can learn from, all that good stuff. The video is more about the analysis and the letter grades pick by pick. But like I said, just a little extra fun thing for you guys. But again, an A-, a 3.3125, very, very good class to me. Let's get through it here. They start off with Josh Conerly Jr., a tackle out of Oregon. Then go Trey Amos, a cornerback out of Ole Miss. Jalen Lane, a wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. Kane Medrano, a linebacker out of UCLA. And then Ja'Cory Karofsky-Merritt, a running back out of Arizona. Like I said, only 5 picks in this class, but I really feel like they hit their needs as well as they could have. I really would have liked them to draft an edge at some point in this class. They're going to be starting Dorrance Armstrong on one edge, and they bring in Deatrick Wise over from the Patriots to maybe start on the other edge, and sort of a interesting scheme fit in my opinion. And then Cleveland Farrell's your edge 3. Very interesting group to run out with in the season. I really would have loved to see them just pick up another edge to try to compete in that room at any point during this class with their 5 picks. I know they didn't have a lot of chances to do it, but even with their 6th or 7th rounder, man, I think it would have really helped out this team. Also thought they could have gone safety. Like I said, only 5 picks, not the biggest need, but you have Quan Martin, who I really enjoy. You bring in Will Harris over from the Saints, who isn't bad, but your depth outside of that is very, very questionable. So just adding another safety would have been another nice fit, but still really like their class. Let's start off with Josh Conerly, a tackle out of Oregon with pick 29. No trade compensation on here. They just sat and picked. This was very interesting to me. Very interesting how they're building out their tackle room in general. Last season, they had Brandon Coleman, a 3rd rounder, kind of have a lot of starts at the left tackle spot. And then in this offseason, they go to and trade for Laramie Tunsil, who's a left tackle. And then they draft Josh, who's also a left tackle. Very, very interesting fit, in my opinion. Now, Josh Conerly isn't one of these linemen that has starts at left tackle and left guard and right tackle. He's only played left tackle throughout his career. So we'll see how the transition goes out for him. It can be rocky in year 1. The transition playing from one side to tackle to the other side is a lot harder than it seems. You have to reset your muscle movement. You have to reset the way you drop with your feet. You have to reset which hand is your lead and you're off. If you aren't experienced doing it, it can be a very, very difficult transition. We see guys struggle with it in their career. People kind of forget that Penei Sewell, in his first year, they had him going out to right tackle, and it was kind of a bumpy start at the very beginning before you kind of hone that in. It isn't an easy transition. We'll see how it goes for him. I think it can be a little bit rocky for him in year 1, but he has all the athleticism and all the technique to be able to get it down. One of the best pass protecting tackles in this class, I think outside of Josh Simmons, he was my best pure pass protecting lineman or tackle in this class. A very, very sound anchor, very, very nice technique around the edge, marrying his feet with his hands, knows how to flash his hands and bait kind of moves out of guys so he can land in the chest. A very, very smart and technical pass protecting tackle. Just leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of the run game. Doesn't move people extremely well, is an athlete, so he can get in front of people very well. He can bowl and he can wall people off. Just not great at actually physically moving people, especially in more man-style blocks, your base blocks, your down blocks, your doubles, stuff like that. Just needs a little bit of work, but it's all there for him, and you're drafting him to be more of a pass protector. He is a very, very good pass protector. He was 33 on my big board, taken at 29. So in terms of just overall value, I think it is very, very solid value, not bad value at all. Was my 5th tackle on the board. He was the 4th one taken off the board. I only had Josh Simmons kind of ahead of him left on the board. He goes 2 spots later, falls due to the injury. I 100% understand why you would want to take a Connerly over him. Very nice tackle at 6'5", 311, only going to be 21 in the beginning of his rookie season, but turned 22 kind of towards the middle of it. An 8.86 RAS. He didn't have any agility testing, which it definitely would have boosted this grade up a bit. It's still a very, very good tester overall. On 523 pass block snaps, he only allowed 1 sack, 2 hits, and 6 hurries. Very nice production on a ton of snaps. The 2024 third-team All-American and first-team Big Ten starter in 2024. Very, very good year for him. A 2-year starter for Oregon. Still a young player. Not a lot of players are in this class, so you love to see it. This got an A for me. More of an A value. I kind of thought about making it an A- because he is going to have to transition over to the right tackle side, and we don't know how that's going to look for him. But I still think it's a very good pick, and he has all the ability to be able to make that transition smoothly. Their next pick, they go Trey Amos, a cornerback out of Ole Miss with the 61st pick, the 29th pick of the second round. Again, no trade compensation on this one. This got an A+ for me. He was so high on my big board. I was a big Trey Amos guy. My 5th overall ranked corner. He was the 6th one taken off the board, so positionally, I think it's a very good value. He was number 30 on my big board, taken at 61. So in terms of overall value, I think it's insane. Gets an A+ grade for me, especially when you look at their cornerback room. They really, really, really needed more depth. I like the Marshawn Lattimore move. I really like Nick Sanders still. And Jonathan Jones, honestly, is not a bad signing at all for this point in his career. But outside of that, you have Kevon Seymour, who has really only played snaps for the Ravens when they were using their Walmart secondaries during COVID and when they had, 18 guys on IR. Did not look insanely good during those starts. You need more guys, and outside of Kevon Seymour, it's just a bunch of camp bodies. You really, really need more guys to come in to this room that can play on the outside. Trey Amos in the 61st is one of my favorite picks in this entire class. An absolute, as much of an A+ value as it can be. I don't know how he falls this far, and especially in a class where a lot of cornerbacks were falling due to injury. Trey Amos played a full season and looked very, very, very good. A 6 foot, 195-pound corner, full-size corner, going to be 23 during his rookie season. Put up an 8.38 RAS. Doesn't have insane agilities. You see it on tape. He doesn't have the most fluid hips in the world, but still can run straight line very well. One of the most technically sound corners in this entire class. Very good in man, very good in zone. Not the best trail technique in the world, but still very nice in trail. You can really feel comfortable with Trey Amos coming to any scheme, in my opinion, and just being a very, very solid corner. Very physical in the run game as well. Not afraid to come downhill and take guys on, and very, very nosy in the run game. He likes to hit. I really like Trey Amos, man. A very fun player with a lot of ball production too. 3 interceptions and 13 PBUs on the season. A 54.5 passer rating allowed when targeted in coverage. Had 50 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, and 1 forced fumble on the season. A 2024 first-team SEC selection in his first year at Ole Miss. He spent last year at Alabama, where he didn't receive a ton of playing time. Spent his 3 previous seasons with Louisiana with the Raging Cajuns. So very storied player. You love to see him coming into a high level of competition in the SEC in a new program at Ole Miss and just making the absolute most out of his opportunity. This is a guy I thought should be able to sneak late in the first round just due to true talent. Now, all the corners around him are absolute kind of athletic freaks. Savone Ravel and Darian Porter. And then you got guys like Will Johnson, who are very, very storied in their production, and Benjamin Morris, who are storied in their production. So it makes sense that he falls, but still, man, in terms of true talent, he shouldn't have fell. This guy is such a good player. Their next pick, they go Jalen Lane, the 128th pick, the 26th pick of the 4th round, a wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. They get this as part of the Laramie Tunsil trade, sending over 79, 236, a 2026 second, and a 2026 fourth. Over to the Texans for Laramie Tunsil and pick 128. I really, really like this pick for them, honestly. In a draft where deep threats were flying off the board in round 4, you have Dante Thornton and Arian Smith, who go off in the very beginning of the 4th round, who were taken very early, in my opinion. Jalen Lane, goes around pretty close to where I thought his value was, is more of a 5th round type guy, and he absolutely fits in super well on this room. When you think of their receiver core, they have Terry McLaurin, who kind of does it all for them, has been a very great receiver for them. But outside of that, Noah Brown, what's left of Deebo Samuel, KJ Osborne, Luke McCaffrey, none of these guys really challenge vertically super well. A lot of X-type guys, slot-type guys, maybe some guys that can flex out to Z, but no one that is a really true burner, a true deep separator, and really could challenge safeties deep. Jalen Lane, with his 4.35, can 100% do that, a 1-5 flat split. This man can absolutely fly. I think even though he's taken in the 4th, he should be able to come in and compete in this room for playing time immediately because they don't have a true deep threat. And I think he can compete for a wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5 role because they have a lot of, middling type bodies in this room. If he could come in and flash in camp and just prove that he should be able to be in this rotation, especially as one of their only deep threats, perfect for them. I absolutely love it, and I like it pick. Now, as we get into day 3, quick reminder, these day 3 grades are on a different scale than our day 1 and 2 grades. Day 1 and 2 are weighted differently, weighted a lot more, a letter grade basis, as teams draft more for BPA, best player available in draft BPA for their big board. Day 3, much more about, upgrading aspects of your roster. Jalen Lane is a perfect example. They don't have a lot of deep threats. Jalen Lane might not be the best big board receiver at the spot, but he is basically the best deep threat you're going to be able to get at this spot, or one of the best deep threats. And he is a kind of aspect that upgrades this receiver room in that way. Not a true upgrade to the receiver room, but upgrades their deep threat ability. That's the kind of vision you're going for on day 3. So it is going to be less weighted on a different scale of I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or I don't get it. Doesn't mean you can't reach on day 3. Doesn't mean you can't draft guys that really don't make sense for your roster, but going to be weighted a bit differently. If you want a more concrete definition on all of those kind of categories of I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or I don't get it, it'll be down in the description, as well as kind of anything else describing abbreviations, anything you're seeing up on the board. If you have any questions, it's probably down there. And if it's not down there, come scream at me in the comments, and I'll make sure to fix that for you. As well, just leave a comment in general. I love talking to you guys about football. It really warms my heart when guys are leaving their opinions, and even if it's constructive, I love hearing what you guys got to say. So make sure you let me know down something below if you want to get something off your mind. But this isn't an I like it. Again, I think he fits this room perfectly, honestly. They needed a deep threat, and deep threats were flying off the board. I think this is as good as a deep threat you're going to be able to get in this spot, maybe besides a Keandre Lambert-Smith, who I kind of valued similarly. A 5'10", 191-pound receiver, going to be 23 during his rookie season, put up a 9.57 RAS. Athletic guy. That's going to be held down a bit by his height. Absolutely ran out the park, jumped out the park, and had good agility measurables as well. If this guy can hit his upside, this guy can be a really dominant Z with that type of athleticism. We'll have to see how he, develops. Right now more of a deep threat, but that upside is definitely there for him. Had 38 receptions on 58 targets, 466 yards on the season with 2 receiving touchdowns, 12.4 yards per catch. Also used a lot as a return specialist and a gadget type. Had 6.4 yards per carry rushing for over 100 yards on the season, 2 touchdowns, and a punt return TD. Only 3 drops on the season, but only did have 58 targets, so it's not like he was getting the ball a ton compared to some of these other receivers that we're going to be talking about. A 2024 third-team ACC return specialist and a 2-year starter at Virginia Tech. Spent his 3 previous years at Middle Tennessee State, where he was a also very productive receiver and return specialist. Adds a lot of value to this team in terms of special teams and just true receiving deep threat ability. Love the fit for them. Their next pick, they go Kane Medrano, a linebacker out of UCLA, with pick 205, the 29th pick of the 6th round. This got an I see the vision. Now, I don't think this is terrible value for him. I thought he was more of a 7th round guy, so getting him at the very back end of the 6th I think is not bad. Just for this room, it's a little bit questionable. We talked about kind of the positions of need I would like them to hit earlier in edge and in safety. I really don't think linebacker was at the top of the charts. They do have Bobby Wagner, who is sort of a former shell of his prior self. Not really the same coverage guy he was, still very solid in run defense, but probably going to be out of this room sooner than later. They still have Frankie Louvu, who I really like on this team, a very nice starter for them. But they also drafted 2 off-ball linebackers in last year's class in the 5th round. 2 guys. So 2 guys drafted ahead of him that have a year more experience in this room. It's just a lot of competition for him coming out the gate. Now, they were drafted in similar spots, so if he really does flash in camp, there is a real chance he can compete for this LB3 job or an LB4 job and rotate in and get a decent amount of snaps. But to draft a guy when you drafted 2 guys in basically the same spot last year when you had other positions of need, I just don't think it's the best fit for the roster. You know, he has a real chance not to get a lot of not to get a lot of rotational snaps or just snaps in general. And I think getting an edge or getting a safety even at this spot could have potentially did that for you. Now, a very high upside type of backer with this size and athleticism at 6'3", 222, he is more of a full-size linebacker in today's NFL. Not a lot of guys are coming out with this height and this weight, anymore. You really are missing these 240, 245, 250 pound linebackers. Just doesn't happen today in today's kind of day and age anymore. But 6'3", 222, not bad size at all. Is going to be 25 during his rookie season, which isn't great. But a 9.83 RAS. This guy ran in the 4.4s. This guy can absolutely fly, jumped out of the park, had good agilities as well. Also had very nice ball production. Not a ton of tackle production with only 72 tackles, but 11.5 TFLs, 2 interceptions, 4 PBUs, 1.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. You're really not seeing that many turnovers from a lot of guys, and especially from guys at this spot. Nice size, uber athletic linebacker with a lot of ball production. I definitely see it. I see why they would want to take him. A lot of upside in this guy. If you can get him to hit his upside, this is a very nice starting linebacker in the NFL. Just has a lot of ways to go. Just has a lot of ways to go in terms of seeing the game full speed from a pass coverage perspective, getting off of blocks, pursuit angles. He's going to have to develop, but this is kind of the developmental guy you want to take at this spot. Very high upside type guy. Just again, for this room, I don't think it makes a ton of sense. Was a 2024 third-team Big Ten selection and a 2023 Pac-12 honorable mention during his 2 years starting for UCLA. Been over at UCLA since I think it was 2019, 2020. A lot of years at UCLA. That is why he's going to be 25 during his rookie season. Again, and I see the vision. Don't think it's a bad pick at all. Just I think they could have went in more impactful positions for this team, not at linebacker. Their next pick, they go Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a running back out of Arizona with the 245th pick, the 29th pick of the 7th round. I absolutely love this pick for them. I love it pick. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was someone that I thought should have been able to get drafted in somewhere in the late 5th, maybe somewhere in the 6th. Getting him at the very back end of the 7th, I think is exceptional value for the player. Also fits in this room extremely well. You think about who they have at running back with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Neither of those guys are uber athletic, especially Austin Eckler at this point in his career. Neither of those guys are very athletic, give you a lot of juice, give you a lot of home run hitting ability. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt definitely does that, and I think he is immediately going to get snaps. He's going to be rotated in this room because he provides juice. He provides a spark. He provides, the ability to take a screen 30, 40 yards down the field because he has actual juice. Ran a 4.45, a very fun running back to watch. A little bit older coming out of college at 24, had a very storied career, spending 4 years at Alabama State and then a year at New Mexico before he transfers to Arizona. Now, unfortunate kind of track for him at Arizona. Only played 1 game before getting out with an injury and missing the entire season. Part of the reason why he falls down here this late in the 7th. But man, in his 1 game, and now it was against the New Mexico State Lobos, but in 1 game, He had 106 yards, a touchdown, 8.2 yards per carry, 8.2, which is absolutely exceptional. Now, you want to see that against New Mexico State, but it was very promising. Did play in the East-West Shrine Bowl and still looked very good in that game as well. Was also very productive outside of, his one game at Arizona. Last year at New Mexico, he had 1,191 yards, 17 touchdowns for 6.4 yards per carry, which is still nice, and 2 fumbles. Like I said, I thought he should have gone somewhere in the late 5th, maybe the 6th. I really love this value for him, and I think he's coming to a room where he's going to immediately compete for those RB2 reps. He's going to rotate in because he is their most athletic back, and I think he is going to start stealing snaps because he is a juiced up younger back who I think is a good back, honestly, not a bad back at all. Now, is a bit limited in terms of third down ability, was never really used as a receiving back, needs to work on his pass protection, only 5'10", 206, so you'd like to see him get a little bit thicker, but honestly, not terribly sized for 5'10". Not a bad back. I think this is a great pick for them, man. I honestly do. I would not be surprised if he is their RB2 by the end of the season, and in next season, he's splitting carries with Brian because they can be more of a thunder and lightning type of duo. Absolutely love that for the back end of the 7th. This was a very good class to me, honestly, a very good class. Like I said, it gets an A-. I believe my last A-, if I'm not mistaken, before we start getting into the A's, my 6th overall class, they only had 5 picks, but every single pick, in my opinion, comes in and either starts or competes for significant snaps right away. Whether it's, Josh Connolly starting at right tackle immediately. Trey Amos going to be fighting for one of those starting corner jobs. Jalen Lane going to be fighting for one of those top 4 receiving jobs, and is going to rotate in immediately because he is basically their best deep threat they have. K. Madrano going to compete for that LB3 job, and even if he doesn't win that job, a very, very high upside type linebacker that can step in sooner, or not sooner than later, but step in a year or two and hopefully provide something for you. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt going to immediately try to compete for RB2, is going to rotate in because he is their most athletic piece they have in the backfield. Their other 2 pieces are not athletic. A very good class in my opinion, man. I absolutely loved it. My 6th overall class. If you liked what I had to say about the Commanders today, please stick around. Let me know what you thought. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you didn't, or if you don't, and you just made it this far in the video in general, I still really appreciate it. It means the world to me, more than you guys can really ever know. So I really do appreciate you sticking around, watching the video this long. Let me know what you guys think. Give me some criticism, some analysis. Let me know what you think about the Commanders class. Talk some football with me, just whatever. Talk with me down below. But I really appreciate it. Stick around as we kind of finish out these classes here. Only 5 more videos to come out until we round out the series. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys again, and I hope you have a great day.